Well, guys, I have some important news for you all. Actually, let me make sure I'm still recording. Okay, audio's good. Anyway, uh, breaking news from BC3 Shortcut. Noah now has a 156.0, and top players are left speechless after watching this run. It is incredibly important. Um, and I think we're about to see something very special from Noah. So I want to go ahead and look at this time. What was next on my to-do list? Oh, I need to talk about my subs. Guys, I'm at 383 subs. Get me to 400. That is two more. Oh, whoops. That is two more than we had when I made my previous video, which is right here. If you guys want to see the Moonview Highway World Record analysis, I highly recommend it. It was a very pleasurable video. And I also did a Funky Kong impression. If you want to hear that, I would highly recommend. So what was next on my to-do list? Edging. So anyway, guys, I've been hearing a lot of hate against Microsoft Edge, and I just need to let you all know I don't care. I'm going to keep using Microsoft Edge. I'm an edger. I like edging. Let me do my thing. Anything else I need to discuss? Okay, I need to stop yapping now. So think about before I stop yapping, let me yap a little farther. The thing about BC3 Shortcut is that when we compare Ghost, which is what's going to happen here, we're going to compare against world record and Noah's best pace. And something to note is that the Ghosts are going to be pretty far apart in some parts, just because that it's a very dynamic category. So Ghosts are going to be very spread out. It's going to be hard for me to touch on some things like I did in the previous video. It's very easy to watch like a ghost comparison and be like let me skip to the middle of the video here. You can see these ghosts are pretty far apart. It's going to be hard for me to pick out like small differences on how they take the turns and all that, and what loses a couple of milliseconds, but I'll try my best. I'll try and touch on everything I can. Anyway, I want to look at the official Noah CTWW channel before let me yap a little more. You can never have enough yapping. As you can see, he's a furry. We love to see it. He actually got the first 156, which is absolutely incredible, and it's actually really strange that, like, if we go to BC3, this is Shortcut. We had a 157 right here, and then Logan cuts it down to a 155 as a massive gap. Nobody had gotten the 156 before, and he gets the first 155 instead. So Noah's the guy who got the first 156. Like, here he has 2 months ago, he got 157.2. Here we got a 156.722, and then he cut an absolutely massive gap, and he's down to a 0.0 now. And I think he has so much more potential. Go show the guy some love. Yeah, no, he's a very good player. He's been grinding this track harder than anybody else, and he's a furry. Anyway, I think I mentioned that twice already. Let's get back to the video now, shall we? So here we go. Here's the worldwide top 10. If we look at the worldwide top 10 when world record was set, Noah was like 8th or 9th or something, like 158 too. Yeah, he was somewhere around there. So he's really been pushing this down. I mean, a 158 is already a great time. I mean, you have to get really solid 3-for-3 shroom cuts to get something like that. And I think around the 4th worldwide or 5th worldwide position, that's when you start adding the shroomless cut. And oh my god, it is so difficult. And I'll touch on why when we get to it. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, actually, let me go in full screen as well. So right from the start, he's going to realign. There's actually like 2 ways of doing this first turn. One of them is doing it the normal way, which everyone does it, and you can actually do a slip drift here, like world record just started doing on Mario Raceway. But I believe that loses a little bit of time. Almost nobody does that, but it's still interesting to note. Nobody does that at a top level. So he lost a couple of milliseconds. Like, since we're right at the start, this is the time where I actually can like compare ghosts and be very precise about milliseconds. It looks like, slow down, back it up. All right. Yeah, so he enters the cut. He enters the turn a little bit tighter, and just because of where the apex is, I guess it wasn't optimal. I also think he didn't take it extremely tight. Then again, no one wants to just lose a bunch of runs on the first turn, so who cares about these milliseconds, we have much bigger fish to fry. Let's move on. So his alignment's a little bit tighter than the other goes here, so the apex of his turn is going to be a little bit later. I think ideally you would be one of those 2 ghosts, but again, we're still talking about milliseconds. Like, you can see the ghosts are now already ahead, and we're about I'd say 2/3 of the way through the turn, probably more than 2/3. Yeah, so the ghosts are gaining on him, going into the left turn, and then here they catch him, and then now they're ahead. Yeah, they definitely saved a little bit of time. You can see the ghosts are pretty much neck and neck, plus or minus a few milliseconds, and you lost a little bit extra going into this turn. Then again, once we get to this third turn here, they're pretty much around the same place. This is just a good example of how like the turns on tracks kind of flow into one another, or how like a small change in how you take one turn will affect how you take the next few turns to try and, you know, save it. But by save it, this is like, it's not a big deal. But he saves it by this point. The ghosts are pretty much at the same point, so the apex of the turns are all going to be about the same. He's just down maybe 15 milliseconds or so. Now, something interesting about this turn right here, I like to, some people have a hard time kind of timing the hop for these turns just because it's not totally obvious where you're going to be relative to the corner when you get there. I like to time it around this I don't know what you call this, the yellow and black stripe thing right here. If you just time it right there and you delay drift, you'll make the turn every time. It might not be extremely tight. I think ideally you would hop a tiny bit earlier than that. But you know, if you're trying to play it safe, you don't want to mess up, that's a good place to time it. Some of the turns have like really good visual cues. So yeah, the ghosts there's a bit of a discrepancy here as well. I think ideally the ideal line would be somewhere between like this ghost and then Noah's new time here. But it's okay. Still talking about milliseconds. He's down about like 20 or 30 now. It's actually even more like 40. It's kind of hard to judge. Okay, so moving into the lows here, this is a very difficult part of the track. We're going to see his first shroomless cut, and this is going to be extremely important. A lot of time save, time loss that is going to take place here, and after that it's going to be harder to judge where a lot of the minor time losses are. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look. So yeah, so Thwomp, I don't think you can ever hit this. This is so far ahead, I don't think this will be a problem anytime in the near future. Like we saw, these ghosts had pretty ideal driving, and still it's pretty far off. Nothing to worry about there. So a lot of new players don't really know why you hold out this MT. It seems kind of arbitrary why this one but not any of the others. That's actually because because the extra speed is really important for this low. If you don't have enough speed, meaning if you don't have both this mini turbo boost and a wheelie going into it and you time your hop, you probably won't make it to the next island. If you're not doing low tricks, then it's not a problem, but at world record level you absolutely need them. So that's why you hold that out. And something else I want to note on, just like in the no shortcut category, you can still get a few variations to these lows. It's not totally obvious to me what determines whether you get like a good low or a bad low, but we'll see. Like, look at where Noah's landing. He's landing, at least on this first low, he's not landing anywhere near like the edge of the island. You can see he passes the edge of the island. Like, let me move back a couple frames. He passes the edge of the island right here, and he still has considerable height. And he lands around like this second brick right here. And then the second one this second low is a good example of a good low. You can see he's landing already. He's on the first brick. These ghosts right here are all, like still in the air. And if you can even tell, actually I don't know, let me make sure. This is annoying. I can't tell if the speedometer is getting cut off or not. Anyway, so when he's in the air, actually, let me just exit full screen. Let's move back. God, I hate this red bar in the way. Can I go in theater? Does that help? I don't know. Anyway, you can see he's at 50 kilometers an hour at this frame in particular, and it goes down the longer you're in the air for. And then the second you get back to the ground, you can see he's already at 80 kilometers an hour. Just on this frame, he happens to be 80, but he's going to accelerate. You see he's back at 120, so you really don't want to be in the air. And you can minimize that by getting these lows. Get a good low on this. Good ones preferably. Okay, let's go into the bread and butter of BC3 shortcut. The shroomless cut, let me actually just watch it first. I want to show you guys that at top speed. This is so unbelievably difficult, I can't even begin to describe it. Okay, let's take a very in-depth look of how he does this, and then on lap 2 and 3 we won't go into as deep of detail, but we'll still touch on the things that are worthy for time loss and time gain. So first important part of the shortcut is your entry into, I'm going to slow this down, is what alignment you have going into the cut right here, and it's all determined by this ramp right here as well as your alignment going into it. And he's going to do a spin drift here. You'll see he goes left, right, left on the analog stick. Left, right. Okay, he doesn't do the second left input. He does a down input. You'll see the spin drift is to get him a good alignment into the ramp. It looks like you're aiming somewhere for right here. And if you know how to do the shroom variant of the cut, you actually have a pretty similar alignment, maybe a little bit more aggressive. But when you hit the ramp right here, you hold right and then left really quickly. That allows you to dodge hitting this like blue wall right here, and still gives you the airtime you need. And it looks like you do something pretty similar here. Like if we watch it really quick, he does a right-left input on the stick, and that gives him a good setup to get the airtime he needs. So he lands, he's holding down, he's holding a bit to the left, I guess to just minor corrections. It's not certain to me whether he'll do that on other laps. But yeah, he goes right, left on the stick. He also does a side trick. Side tricks are actually mandatory for this. It's not totally obvious to me why. It might have something to do with, like, I was going to say it might have something to do with dodging this blue wall right here. But you can see by the time the trick animation comes out, it's not until here. Like, he's already off the ground. So it's not totally obvious to me what exactly the side trick is for. If maybe Noah can touch on that in the comment section. Okay, so that leads us to the cut itself. A few different things to look for. You can see there's a huge variation in where the ghosts are. This is pretty important. This is where the time loss, time save comes in. Things to look for. There are obviously different heights that you can take the cut. You can see, if I go back a little bit, going into the cut, we already have a huge variation. These two ghosts are much higher. My intuition would tell me like lower cuts are faster. But another thing to look for is where exactly you're landing on this, because on all 3 laps Noah's going to land somewhere around here, and you can see it's a little hard to tell. Actually, let me go to Logan's world record run and let's see where he lands. Yeah, so you can see, I want to back up a couple of frames. You can see Logan's landing all the way over here and Noah's landing here. The trade-off is that Logan is getting more airtime, so I don't think we're going to see a huge difference in time save. Like if we, let's just see where they land. Yeah, it also looks like Logan had to take this turn a little wider as a result. So I would assume they're about the same speed. If not, this might be a little faster what Noah's doing. That leads us to the last part of the cut, which is the recovery. There is an ideal kind of recovery where you kind of clip the edge of the wall right here and you're able to charge the MT really fast. You're able to get on the ground, no bounces or anything. You can just get the MT out. Obviously making the cut itself is the first priority. So this is still important though. You know, you're not getting all the time save if your recoveries aren't strong. But you know, he gets his MT out. He does what he has to do. He's a little bit down. I'm gonna go ahead. God, my cursor is like really slow. Oh, you know what? Okay, never mind. Let's look at this recovery. Yeah, so it looks like he just holds the MT out a little bit longer than the other ghosts do, and that would explain some of this time loss. I'm trying to figure out what I would do in this situation. I probably would have just super softed. I don't know if he knows how to super soft, but I feel like he might have been able to charge this quite a bit earlier if he had super softed it. Then again, it might have created a harsher angle for this upcoming alignment, so hard to say. Now, obvious benefit of doing the cut shroomless is that you have a shroom saved for the cut right here. And I want to see if there's any variation on how they do this. So Noah has a slightly more aggressive angle into it. It's not a big deal, really. More important part is where you enter relative to this wall right here, how close and tight you are to it, and then your alignment exiting it. And you can see, I think him and Logan take it about the same. Yeah, you can see they exit almost parallel. But this alignment into this next turn isn't great either. You can see Noah's best pace is right where you want to be. You want to be as tight as possible. But honestly, being wider makes the turn a lot easier to manage. You really have to time your MT well, and then insta-wheel you have to commit to it, or else you're losing quite a bit of time. So this is a very safe angle. It's going to lose him about, I don't know. Let's see if we can get an idea. See, it looks like this ghost also took it a little bit wide as well, so it didn't get the time save it should have gotten. So yeah, he takes the turn. This alignment should work. It kind of looks like he's aiming towards like this section of the road, but on this side. I don't know what you call it. Anyway, I think this alignment's fine though. I'm curious if he really nudges. No, he doesn't. He's totally fine. Okay. So next big thing to look for. I really hope the speedometer's not getting cut off. I really hope the speedometer isn't getting cut off. I think we're fine though. Let's see what he gets here. So he gets a half, and you can see it looks like, and this is his best pace up here. It looks like best pace gets a drop. I mean, you can see how long it's falling behind for. I mean, that's insane. Compared to a half, I mean, that is rough. I can't tell if it does wheelie nudges. It might have wheelie nudged. Yeah, because you can see it did have a more right to left angle, so it might have been going towards this the gap right here on the road. And sometimes you can save it if you're at top speed. Sometimes you can just wheelie over it. Sometimes you get hit. I think it's QM, but it can instantly end a run, so I don't blame him for wheelie nudging in his ghost. Okay, so he gets a half. Logan also gets a half, so no time save, time lost there. And then it looks like we got a chain half drop between all three of the ghosts. Because you can see, let me go back a little bit. Actually, I'll just replay it. I'll just show you quarter speed. Yeah, let's take a look. Okay, this is very slow. Wait, we're gonna have to, let's go half speed. I don't need annotations. You can see Logan in front. His lead grows farther, and we can see that Noah gets a half in his chain again right here, and then the ghost back here is falling farther behind. So we have chain, half drop, in that order. No, not 0.75. There we go. Okay, so our lap is a 0.731. Let's go ahead and look at BKS, which is also possessed by Noah. He has a 477. I think I remember him sharing this one on Discord. It was an improvement by like a millisecond. Let's see what this looks like. We're comparing to, I don't know what we're comparing to. Oh yeah, this is what I was talking about before. So he gets a variation of the cut where it sends you farther left, and on top of that, you can see he lands on the ground really quickly and is able to get his MT charged right away. Like, let's compare this. Oh, it looks like oh no, okay, he got the good QM. I was gonna say I would be nervous about this right here, but you know, it's okay. And let's compare that to the cut he got here, because as you can see, there are quite some discrepancies. So yeah, just making the cut for 3 for 3 is like the first big milestone, and once he did that, it's really coming down to optimizing, you know, smaller stuff like that to get him to world record level. So anyway, that's lap 1. How did we end up here? What the heck? Okay, so we're going into lap 2 now. It's gonna be a little bit harder to compare these ghosts now since they're a bit farther apart, but that's okay. We're gonna still touch on what we can. First turn looks good. I think Noah has a more ideal angle here than current world record, which is right here. Just the apex are going to be a little bit different. But yeah, I don't know what Noah's doing back here. What this other ghost is doing? He's just vibing in his own world, doing his thing. Okay, kind of nice that thwomp isn't an issue here. Sometimes with like wider entries into this turn, the thwomp can make the turn a lot tighter in terms of how much wiggle room you have to make the turn. It becomes easier the tighter you are to this turn, but it's also not ideal. So it's kind of nice that the thwomp isn't in the way in here. You can just get the turn you want. So moving on here, Again, I'm having a much harder time kind of picking out smaller differences here. Yeah, like I don't have anything to add. This looks pretty ideal. I think you would be a little bit tighter in a more optimal alignment. But you know, he's taking the turns tight. He's doing what he has to do. And it looks like the swamp would be an issue on slower paces. I'm curious. I think if you somehow have to go around the swamp, the run's already dead. Okay, and we see a pretty similar... Actually, I would say the recovery to this cut was quite a bit better than his previous lap. He really had to hold out the MT to get it out. But I want to slow it down. So he does his spin drift. This looks like a pretty similar angle he had compared to the last run. I'm curious if he has any visual cues for this, or if he just kind of has a feel for where he needs to be on this yellow ramp. Because it's a homogeneous ramp. There are no visual clues on the ramp itself where you're supposed to be. Maybe he looks at the bricks or something. Maybe he looks at this. Not totally sure. My guess is it's just a feel thing. You get better at it as you play it. Okay, so he does a spin drift. And I noticed on lap 1, he kind of did a bottom left input around here. And he's not doing it here. So I think he just kind of knew his alignment was pretty close to perfect. And you can see he's trying to hit the exact same spot on the ramp every single time. There's definitely a sweet spot for this if you've ever gone for this. If you've ever done the Shroom Ultra or the Shroomless, you would kind of know that there's a sweet spot. And sometimes I was practicing like the Shroom cut the other day, and you can hit like the sweet spot unintentionally and then just go flying forward. It's pretty strange. So anyway, he does his right-left input. This is much harder on Funky Kong, I should also mention, just because the hitbox is so much larger. You have the sweet spot is just the same. It's the same size, but to not hit the wall, you have to be on the right-hand side of that sweet spot, if that makes sense. That just gives you the space to fit Funky Kong's fat ass. So yeah. Man, I would do a Fox impression if I could. But I don't know what sound they say. Maybe someone should write a song about that. Anyway. So he makes the cut right here. He's going to land in a pretty similar spot to lap 1. He's actually landing on like this corner brick. He doesn't get the super fast landing like we saw in the BKS. It looks like Logan... What does Logan get here? Yeah, so Logan gets a similar thing to what he got lap 1. They're landing very far apart here. I think if you land where Logan does and you get an ideal recovery, like that is a lot faster than what Noah's doing right here. I'm curious what exactly causes this. My guess is it might have something to do with the right input or slight variations to your alignment going into the Shroomless cut, but I'm not totally sure. But regardless, Noah's able to charge his MT much faster, and he's able to get an alignment out pretty quickly as well. Let me go at top speed. Okay, let's go back. I feel like this is 30 FPS. It's kind of choppy. Anyway, so I think an ideal line would be a little bit tighter here. A left to right angle isn't really a bad thing. I would say it's a good thing. So he does a Shroom. He exits. This is more of an ideal alignment compared to what he had lap 1. Lap 1 almost hit like this dirt right here. Like, let me go back and see if I can find it. Let's see what his alignment was like. Yeah, like you can see he's right at the corner here. You can be all the way over here and still be fine. So yeah, he's probably 2 bike widths farther to the left this time, so much better. He can still be farther left. But I'd imagine at this point he's already pretty nervous. Probably anything going into lap 3 is pretty nerve-wracking. So at this point, I definitely can't pick out any millisecond differences in a lot of these turns. So first half of lap 3, I'm going to go through pretty quickly compared to everything I've done so far. But he has a pretty aggressive right to left angle. I think this is actually a good thing. Yeah, and this straight is so much better, honestly. Like this chain, oh my god. That chain was deadly. I mean, look at this lead that world record has right now. I can't tell exactly how much this is. If I had to guess, it would be like 0.2. And I think world record got a half here, because if you get a drop, you're accelerating the entire next chain, and you can see Noah's gaining time until about here, at about this moment, and the chain is a little bit farther ahead. Oh, and then he gets a drop. Oh, that's so rough. But yeah, at least he gets the first chain. First chain's more important than the second chain, just because, you know, the first chain lasts the entire 3 seconds, whereas the second chain lasts maybe 2 seconds or so. Man, but that second chain was just brutal. Yeah, so it looks like the Ghost back here gets, like I mentioned, oh yeah, I forgot to touch on this, but this Ghost back here, the one that's in 3rd place, is Noah's best pace, and it's been behind like this entire time. I think it lost some time kind of on lap 1 cut, or maybe it was the chains, I don't remember. But this is where the time save is. Yeah, it looks like this Ghost also gets a half. You can see, I can't tell if it's getting cut off or not, but if you look down here, you can barely tell. Right at the chain, you can see the me right here, and then it gets the chain compared to Noah's drop, and oh my gosh, look how fast he passes him. I mean, that's how important chains are, guys. That's deadly. So that's why it's a best pace for him. It was all because of that drop. I mean, we talk about no shortcut runs and how important the chains are. Guys, the chains itself can lose or gain as much as like a good or bad shroomless cut. You know, they're still incredibly important on a track like this. It's flame runner, so the acceleration is so bad. And there are 6 of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it's still so important. I mean, you can lose or gain over a second. Okay. So moving into lap 3, we have a 38.533. Let's compare to BKS. 38.449. So he was actually only 0.1 off of BKS. It looks like, okay, the world record is BKS. You can see the BKS applies to lap 2 and lap 3. And we're gonna not look at this entire lap, but I'm going to look at the shroomless cut. I want to see exactly what Logan got here. Yeah, so I would say this is like the second best recovery you can get. You can see, like, he's obviously landing in a great spot as well. I think this is faster. I would say if you land in the corner like Noah does, and then you get a good recovery, that's about the same as landing here and getting a bad recovery. But Logan gets what I would say is the second best recovery. So the first best recovery, which was in the lap 1 BKS we looked at earlier, second best, I would say, is getting a bounce like that and then landing on the ground relatively quickly. No major bounces after you land, as you can see. He's still able to charge the MT pretty quickly. So this is, you know, that's about as much as you could ask for. So this could still go down as well. Let me see what chains he gets. He gets an 88, so that looks like a, what was that, like a half? I don't know if this is getting cut off or not. Okay, I think that was a drop. And it looks like a half, drop half. So yeah, it could still be improved. But that being said, so 5.33, he's about 0.1 off of his best split, or the best split. Okay, let's take a look at this first turn. First turn is about the same for most of them, except they have slightly different alignments. You definitely want to be where Logan is, with a slightly wider alignment going into it. But he's still able to manage. You just hop a little bit later. I like to use this line as a visual cue. I usually hop a little bit after the line, and you can see when you're tighter like this, you have to hop quite a bit later. Let's see exactly when he hops. I'm curious. So he's already passed the line, and he hops around here. So he's hopping quite a bit later, and that's kind of just what you have to do if you have a tighter alignment. If you hop at the same time, you'll end up just driving into the wall, and the run's dead. Okay, it looks like his driving is a little bit safe here as well, considering he's already made 2 shroomless cuts and he only needs to make 1 more to just crush his best pace right here. Like, yeah, I don't blame him. You can see he kind of hesitates on this turn. Oh, and also let me mention this turn right here is also taken a little bit safe as well. But you can see on the stick, he's going to go right, neutral, right, instead of just doing a smooth follow through with the drift right here. You know, it's still notable. He's going to lose a little bit of time from that. Okay, right here, let's take a look at the alignment. we have quite a bit of variation now, since I'm sure in all three instances they were pretty nervous. Alignment's a little bit wide, but it's okay. He's gonna hop a little bit earlier. And Thwomp, I think, could be a problem on really fast paces, but we're talking, I don't know what lap 1 Logan got in his world record. I think he was ahead, though. Okay, so Logan's right here, about the same. I think you would need, like, double BKS pace to hit the Thwomp and then have to go around it. And if you ever had to go around the Thwomp, it would probably be faster. Like, unless you're crushing the Thwomp pace, it would probably be slower than if you just went under the Thwomp. Because if you go around the Thwomp, you're losing, what, like 150 milliseconds? If you're just barely fast enough to make it under, that's probably faster. But that's a good problem to have. We're not there yet. We'd probably be like low 155 pace. Okay, let's take a look at this cut. Okay, a few things to note. We're gonna slow it down. Very, very important part of the track. It's lap 3. You can see this ghost right here. His best pace is going to fail it. You can see he doesn't get the trick out. He doesn't hit the sweet spot. Doesn't rub the track the right way. It is what it is. It happens. But, you know, he's stuck with the track and he's able to get his run out. Get his low in 156. Okay, so he's going to do a spin drift. I think this alignment is slightly, I was going to say it looked a little different, but this name tag is in the way. He had an alignment pretty close to like this blue wall right here when I was looking at it on lap 2. Slightly different alignment, but he spin drifts. Let's see if he does a correction right here. He doesn't. Like, he's neutral for like the entire time. Look at this. So he's neutral right now. He's just pointing down so he gets a good landing. But look, he knows he has the perfect alignment. Look how long he's in neutral for. Gosh. By this point, he doesn't change right or left on the stick until he hits the ramp. I mean, it's just perfect like that. That's insane. He doesn't have to do any inputs. He goes right to dodge the wall. You can see he's very close to the wall. That just happens on all 3 laps. Something like that. He does his right input, or sorry, yeah, he does right left, and then he lands on the wall. He doesn't get any bounces, but it looks like he's having a hard time charging this MT. He has to hold it out for quite a bit. He doesn't get an ideal recovery from the cut, which is okay. He has to charge it for a little bit as well. So by this point, he's down about, what is this, like 0.1, 120 or so on world record. And I think world record gets like chain half on lap 3. No, at this point you probably know it's not world record, but you can still get a very good time. So they have pretty similar angles going into this section right here. It looks like Logan takes the cut slightly more aggressively. You can see, let me see if I can get a good comparison of where they enter this cut. Yeah, so Logan enters the cut around right here, which is about a bike width to the right. And then he also exits the cut about a bike width to the right. It's a little bit faster. And it looks like Noah wheelies. He either wheelies a little bit earlier or he just didn't hold out his left input for long enough, because while he was trying to align, he does his wheelie and then he's aligned right into this dirt right here. He's at the corner. We talked about how this is a very safe way of taking the turn, having a wide alignment into this last U-turn. That being said, it is quite a bit slower. So let's see what Noah decides to do. He does wheelie nudge. I'm trying to see if that was warranted or not. I think it's a little hard to tell because where this off-road isn't exactly where you would actually slow down. So like the visual doesn't match exactly where the actual off-road texture is. But I think what you would really be worried about is hitting this blue wall, and I think at this point, like, he knew it was going to be PR. He didn't want to just throw it on something dumb like this. So I think nudging was warranted. So Logan has a very good alignment going into this last turn right here. are going to start their drifts. Yeah, so they drift around the same time, but since Logan was just so much tighter to the wall, he's going to save quite a bit of time from that as well. And thank God he got a good alignment going into this last section right here. He didn't pull in Emil and then lose it all on the straight. At least he got a somewhat competent finish. Okay, so going into the finish, he gets a drop. Now this is really bad because it's not an 88 drop, it's an 84 drop. And when you get a drop like this, like I can't tell if it's getting cut off, sorry about that. When you get a drop like this, you can keep an eye on the speedometer. He's accelerating through the entire chain. And then he gets the chain around 94 kilometers an hour, which is still like what you would get if you get a chain. And then he's back down to 91 and he gets a half. So the straight at the end here definitely costs a 155. It's unfortunate, but that is just a consequence of playing the track. The lap 3 was by far the weakest lap in the run. I think his lap 1 got, what, half chain. So, yeah, that's rough. BKS gets a 0.4, so I think lap 3 is going to be where he can get some good improvement. It's going to be on the straights as well. And the recoveries after the cut, he has to land in hopefully in an ideal spot. Because as we mentioned, he lands around... He likes to land in this corner, and I don't know if this is intentional, but you know, there are just a lot of variations to where exactly you can land, and my guess would be getting a good like corner stick right here and landing farther to the left is going to be your fastest variant, and then, you know, getting the chains, those are going to be important as well. So yeah, that is Noah's 156.069. I have a lot of faith in this guy. He's been grinding this track for so long. I'm fully confident that he's going to get a world record. He cut this down from what? Like, let me go to his channel. Let's go to the official Noah CTWW channel. Like, you can see he's just been playing this track for a long time, like kind of on and off. Here we had a 157.1 fail 7 months ago. And if we go forward a little bit, he has his one. Okay, it looks like in the past 2 months he's really cut his time down. I mean, he cut a full second in the past 2 months, going from 157.2 to a 156.0. Looks like he had a BKS fail as well. So yeah, I think best splits can still go down. I think his time can go down substantially. I even think a 154 is possible. If everything goes well, but I don't see that happening in the near future. Someday though. Maybe Noah can discuss that. I'm curious if a 154 is possible in the future. So yeah, that's going to be the end of this video today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I want to do more of these in the future. I'm going to do some community polls to determine what I should do next. I think Shy Guy Beach, No Shortcut, won my previous poll, so I'm probably going to be doing that one next. But expect a community post sometimes in the near future, and we will vote as a democracy on how my YouTube channel should be run. So if you would like to participate, please do so. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.